Hello lovely, welcome back to Squeaky's Cauldron. I am Sarah Evergreen, your host, as always, and today I wanted to talk to you a bit about an experience that I had and how it is once again changing the kind of shape of what I anticipated my life and creations and such to look like. First, really briefly, I want to say, if you're at all familiar with human design, I am a 1-3 emotional projector. This line, the 1-3, is about experimenting and about being open to change and trying new things and doing different things and being messy in public. So this is what I'm doing. I'm being messy in public so that you can see a bit about how all these experiments are going and learn whatever you want to learn from them, or even just take, some sense of solace in that if you are out there trying new things and being a bit like here and there and everywhere else, you are not alone. You are actually in very esteemed company. So I recently, it's been about 3 weeks now, and I've been processing all of this, but I had an experience with Persephone. And I will get into that entire experience. I'll tell the story of that here in a minute, and you can follow me along there. But first I wanted to start with this poem that I accidentally wrote today. And hopefully I won't cry, because when I read it to my husband, I definitely did. I can hear your fingers brush the underside of the ground where my ear presses to the dirt. You scratch and stroke and claw your way towards me as my tears moisten the soil, breaking the clumps, turning the sun-hardened dirt to malleable clay, like you've done to me. Taking this dry dust of life and wetting it with your darkness, your depravity, your loyalty, and your strength. Until I become a medium in your sure hands, your thumb pressing into my ribs, smoothing down my stomach, coaxing new shapes, new sounds from my lips. When I return to the land of the living, I feel you in these bones that you have bent and broken and rebuilt. I am not a form my mother recognizes. I see her staring, wondering, unable to touch me like she did before. Her own marks fading from my body, from my soul, washed away by your fingertips, the steady reminder of all that I am becoming, and all I never needed to be. In this garden of flowers, I yearn for the pain of your teeth digging into my arm's tender flesh, the half moon of your claim shining red as blood against my white as snow. As I watch the wheat bend in the breeze, I recall the stone against which you held me, my cheek pressed hard into the rough as you shredded my gown, left scraps of pink and pale gold strewn about your chamber, our home. When the narcissus blooms, I close my eyes and tell myself the tale of you gathering those scraps together, offering them to Arachne, so that she may weave us a quilt for our marriage bed, made of strong silk, gentle gossamer, and darkest night. You own me. You transform me. You show me the height of possibility by dragging me to the depth of unity. I ate the seeds willingly, gratefully, ecstatically. Did you steal me? Perhaps. That's the tale they tell up here, but I return each year with an eager heart to our darkened kingdom, where we rule over that which is most loyal, most steady, the one guarantee that life offers anyone, that it will end and they will meet me by your side. On this longest day of the year, when the sun stretches high and far, and the first of winter's whispers sigh in my ear, I do not cry. I do not mourn the passage of summer and the coming dark. I lay here, with my ear pressed to the soil, and listen to your fingers scratch and claw and stroke your way towards me. So that's a little poetry to start this out, which I feel is very fitting, all told. Like I said, this poem just kind of came through on accident, and this whole experience came through on accident. So, story time. I was in a funk. I had overextended myself, like I very, very often do. Like I said, I'm a projector, which means that I have a tendency to soak up other people's energies and let it run me. And because I don't have a lot of the, kind of cap things in place that other types do, I can really just keep running on that energy until I completely burn myself out and end up not being able to do anything at all. So that was the state that I was in on this day. And I'd spent most of the morning just kind of watching TV and like checking out. And I started getting this intuitive hit that I should go do some restorative yoga, because that's my go-to when I need to just like reconnect and really put a pause on things. So I was like, okay, I'll go do that. So I went in my room and I rolled out my yoga mat and I started getting ready, and then I got another hit that was, a little bit of incense would be really nice to have during all of this. So I went and I got my incense, which is in a drawer with all my other magic-y stuff. And while I was there, I got the thought, wouldn't it be nice to bring your tarot cards in, and to also bring in this little mirror that I use for magic, and my Hecate icon, I suppose it is, and just have all that set up in the room. And some candles would be nice too. So I had, all told, I had this whole altar set up in front of my yoga mat. I had some really lovely music going, some, probably 432 hertz angelic music, that kind of thing. And about 15 or 20 minutes from the end of the practice, I got another intuitive hit that I should go on a shamanic journey and ask, I got the hit that I should go on a shamanic journey. That was all I got. Everything else I then filled in with my brain, which, as you probably know, is not maybe the most reliable source of information and direction, especially when it comes to magic-y things. The mind is a great tool, don't get me wrong. I love the mind, and it is a tool. It's not the tool. It's kind of like a blunt hammer. I had this idea I should go maybe visit Hecate, or should I go visit Lilith? That felt like two reasonable goals to have. And because I've been on many shamanic journeys with both of these goddesses, so I pulled a card each for one of them. And for Hecate, I pulled the Ace of Pentacles, and for Lilith, I pulled the 7 of Swords, which is in the boat. And just based on energetic vibes from both of those cards, I was like, okay, I'll go see Hecate in the Underworld, and I'll ask her about, what I should do with Squeaky's Cauldron, because, this is still very much a work in progress, and I don't have a clear direction, which, again, I'm coming to grips with the fact that that just might be how I have to work. So I decided that I was going to go see Hecate. I laid down, I got all my things prepared so that I could, do this journey. I put the drums on. And so when you go into a shamanic journey, the very first thing that you do is you envision a place in nature that you've been before. And from this place, you wander around until you find an opening to wherever you're going, whether it's the lower world, the middle world, or the upper world. Normally, when I'm doing a journey, I put the drums on, I close my eyes, and I immediately am able to picture this grove of trees where I first had this feeling of God moving through me after my spiritual awakening about 10 years ago. That's where I always go. And I've done hundreds of journeys. So imagine my surprise when I closed my eyes and I did not see that place. And I could not bring that place to me. What I saw instead was a place I've never been before. It was this big open field with a few tall, like very tall, skinny trees in it, and very tall grass just kind of swaying in the breeze. And I get this very golden sense to all of it. And I'm walking along and I find this dry creek bed, which I have this knowing that water usually flows in this creek bed, but right now it's dry. And I'm walking along and I find this hole in the side of the creek bed. And I know that this is where I'm going. And still in my mind, I have this idea that, I'm gonna go see Hecate in the Underworld, even though everything else has already shifted. So I go into this hole and it's shaped like an hourglass. So I go into it and I start getting squeezed, and I feel my entire molecular body being reconstructed as I go through this small point in the middle of the tunnel and then come out the other side already changed. I mean, this is a very classic kind of experience that people have in shamanic journeys, is having themselves somehow taken apart and then put back together in a new way. But usually that happens in the midst of journey, not in the process of getting to the journey. So I come out the other side of this tunnel, and I am in this kind of big cave. And normally when I go visit Hecate, I'm in a big cave, or I get to a big cave, usually by crossing the desert first. But this cave is not that cave. So I'm like, okay, now I know for sure something is going on here, but I'm still, pretty sure that I'm gonna go see Hecate, because that was the intention that I set, right? This cave is very wet and dark, and I wander around a little bit and I find a huge placid lake with a boat sitting on it. And it's very, very clear to me, despite the fact that there is no one rowing the boat, that this is the ferryman's boat. This is the boat that one takes to cross into the land of the dead. So I get on, and the boat's moving along the lake. And then it starts to descend into the water. And I can feel the water coming over me. It's like 110 degrees outside, and I'm just chilled because of this water. And we go down, and the boat takes me to this door that's carved into the stone, and it's carved into a face of like a beast. And I go through the door, and I come into this kind of mid-sized room of a castle. All the stones are made of this dark gray stone. It's very dark. There's no windows. I walk in, I feel like I walk from an antechamber or a back room into the main room, and I find Persephone. Now, I have had a relationship with Persephone for a very long time, as long as I can remember. She's always felt like a part of me. Like, she's not even a she, in that she is that much a part of me. I have found myself in her myths. I have drawn power and more than power, comfort from her mythology. But she's always been like so intrinsically part of me that I haven't seen her as a goddess in her own right. And I have never gotten to know her as a goddess in her own right, like I have done with Hecate and Lilith. And what she said to me, among other things, was that it was her turn to get that relationship with me. It was her turn to have that exploration. And it was time for her to be apart from me, so that I can have that kind of dynamic with her. She also told me that it's time for me to really deeply explore the process, or the feeling, or the perspective even, of holding light and dark at the same time. And I can't remember who commented on this on a previous video about wanting more things about light and dark, but this came through very, very clearly in my visit with her, is that it is time for me to do that, life and death, to hold them both. And I think I've been quite good at holding one or the other, oftentimes holding the death part of things, holding the shadow, holding the wound. But now I'm being asked to move into a space where I can hold the wound and the healing at the same time. And to know that one does not counter the other, one is not more important than the other. This reminds me of a quote that I absolutely loved while I was a teenager by some Dostoevsky, maybe. There's one way to be a happy family, but there's a million ways to be unhappy. Like, those things have always struck me. It's something that I was taught as a kid and had grilled into me both by my parents and by society, that happiness is not to be trusted. Happiness is false. Happiness is the misleader. What you can trust is misery. What you can trust is tragedy. What you can trust is the wound and the fact that you will get wounded, and you are wounded, that you are broken, that healing doesn't truly happen. Happiness doesn't truly happen. And because of this particularly insidious and disgusting lesson that I learned and integrated into my life, I thought that I would never be happy. And I have worked on untangling that for years through going into the wound and through going into all the pain and the shadow and stuff. And I think that part of what I'm being called to here is to go into it through the light side as well, and to understand and embody that innocence and that brightness of Persephone and how she works with Hades. Because here's the thing is, like, Hades doesn't become obsessed with and fall in love with Persephone because she's dark and gritty. No, what he sees in her is his opposite. He sees the life, he sees the light, and he also knows how that innocence can deepen when it is taken through the depths of things. But there's something there, and I want to relate now an idea that I first heard about from Rob Bell. You start out in the world in a space of lightness, in a space of innocence. And then you move into darkness. You move into the pain. You move into the trauma. You are exposed to heartbreak and betrayal, lies, manipulation. And you can stay there. Many people choose to stay there because this now feels false, like a lie that they were told. The strong, the brave, the courageous will move out, the mature will move out of that darkness and back into light, understanding that the lightness is not the lie. This was not a lie, it was just untested and untempered. There's a Buddhist saying, like, first the mountain was a mountain, then the mountain was no longer a mountain, and then the mountain became a mountain again. I don't know why that's making me want to cry. First the light was the light, then the light was no longer the light, then the light was the light again and could be understood and experienced in such a deeper, richer way than this light over here. But it takes so much guts to be able to say, no, this is not the end of it. This darkness is not the end of it. There is another side to this. And having the strength to move through to the other side so that you can hold both the light and the dark at once, I think this is what that light actually is. It is not light, it is not dark. It is the understanding of both, and how both are true and both are real and both are possible, and that one does not cancel out the other one. One other thing that has come through, actually, is this desire to talk about the book Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. If you haven't heard of it, go look it up. It's kind of a seminal work in first wave feminism, mythology, wild woman stuff. My friend Roxy and I are doing a read along with each other. And after doing my very first live stream last week, I was like, I want to do more of these. And it popped up that talking about this book and what I'm reading in it with Roxy would be a really good forum for that, so that y'all can come, ask questions, add your own input, and there can be kind of a discussion. And Roxy will come on once in a while and talk about it with me. So that's going to be happening. And I feel that it's very much linked to Persephone, because she is so much about the discovery of the wild woman of herself, where she moves away from this idea of who she is that her mother holds, and into a more integrated understanding, deeper understanding of herself through her relationship with Hades. On that note, I am, exploring Persephone, and I feel like the poem that I read you at the top of this video that I have been putting off making for weeks now because I wasn't sure what I needed to say, that poem is the first true step for me after getting my marching orders. We'll see what else unfolds with all of this. If you have any resources or ideas, if you have any questions that you would like me to explore within this experiment, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And if you have any experiences with Persephone that you want to share, any stories, again, do please let me know. Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And if you are looking to work with Hecate or Lilith, or just need someone in your corner who can really see you and help you through the next step of your own evolution, do check out the links in the description, or hit me up over on Instagram at Queen Sarah Evergreen. As always, my lovely, use your voice. It is the only one you have, and we need it.